So welcome all of you guys for today's session. आज का ये session हम live ले रहे हैं, but I'm also recording this session side by side so that the students who cannot come and see the video cannot see this live session at this point of time can see the recording later on. Plus also the other students of other students जो CA, CS, CMA कर रहे हैं और जिसको house property में doubt है, any students having issues in house property can also see this lecture. I'll be revising the entire topic in a very minimum time. Anyways, I have so many videos uploaded in my channel, but I believe strongly in revisions and I believe strongly that income tax is a subject which require more and more revisions. जितना ज़्यादा रिवाइज करोगे उतना ज़्यादा टॉपिक आपके हैंड्स में ग्रिप में आएगा एंड द मोर यू रिवाइज the more you'll understand the topic. That is the most important method to study this subject and have a grip on the subject. So without wasting any time, let me take you straight away to this portion, income from house property. As you can see, income from house property. Okay, income from house property, I would rather say it is a very, very easy chapter, very simple chapter, very small chapter. Always some 6 to 7 marks question can come in the examination from this chapter, and you can also expect in different parts of multiple choice questions, and many amendments have come through Finance Act 19 and through Finance Act 18, which you have to study for your examination, subsequently in Finance Act 20 also. So let me recapitulate all the provisions at one go and explain you in this particular session so that you will not have any issues. Let me make it very clear that I'm assuming that you have already studied house property once, and you have taken or seen the classes of any of the teachers previously. Only then you'll be able to understand this session, because this is a revision lecture. This is not a normal lecture. I'll be taking all the topics, but I will be going a little fast so that I can complete this in a time, within a given period of time. So I hope you'll understand that thing. And even if you have any queries for the live students, you can just type in the queries in the Q&A session. Please do not send the queries in the chat box, else it will be missed. So guys, okay, that's it. So I'm starting the session. Okay. So guys, income from house property, as the name suggests, whatever income you are earning from house property, as the name suggests, whatever income you are earning from the house property, okay, that will be taxable in your hands in case of income from house property. Now, what is exactly this income covers? If I tell you bluntly, this income covers this head basically covers uh, rental income. Okay, this head basically covers rental income which is earned by an SSE from a house property. Now you can earn rent from various sources. You can earn rent from letting out of a building. You can earn rent from a letting out of a vacant land. You can also earn rent by renting out of a property, or from furniture, from an asset, or from any other right. Okay, you can earn the rent. So this particular head basically covers the rental income from house property. Okay, now the section, if I start with section, the charging section of this head basically is provided in section 22, and it ends with section 27. Section 22 basically provides the charging section of the income from house property, like what are the cases and what are the conditions where income will be taxable in case of house property. So as you can clearly see on the screen, that income from house property is taxable. Any income is taxable in income from house property if three conditions are fulfilled. Okay, so the first condition will be, the first thing will be, what will be taxable is the annual value. What will be taxable is the annual value. Annual value will be taxable in case of house property. Now sir, what is this annual value will come in section 23, there where we'll understand what is the annual value. But what will be taxable is the annual value. Ultimately the income will be the house property will be the annual value. Annual value will be taxable. Now annual value of what will be taxable? The annual value of any property which is consisting of any building or land appurtenant thereto. Means the second condition, this first condition comes, there must be a building. There must be a building. Now there should be a building. If there is not a building or land appurtenant thereto, means land surrounding that building. So there obviously building cannot just stand alone in the air, right? There has to be a surrounded boundary of land which should which has to surround the building. Now that buildings, either building and the land which is associated with that building will be covered under house property. But if I talk about vacant land where there is no building at all, so that definitely will not fall a place in house property. That will go in other sources. So the annual value of building or land appurtenant thereto which is owned by the SSC. What is owned by the SSC? Owned means it has to be your legal ownership. Okay, it has to be a legal ownership. Plus there is a concept in house property, deemed ownership. It can also be a deemed ownership. Matlab, what can happen that in some cases, as provided in section 27, please remember section 27 provides that in some cases, even if you're not the legal owner of the property, you might be deemed to be the owner of the property because you're specifically covered in the Income Tax Act provisions. Now, since you're specifically covered in the Income Tax Act provisions, you have to understand that section 22 also covers both ownership, that is legal ownership, as well as deemed ownership. Now, if you're taxing the house property, there has to be annual value of a building or a land appurtenant thereto, which has to be, the second condition is owned by the building. There should be ownership. If you're not the owner, मान लो कि if you're the tenant of the property and you're subleasing that property, means you're earning from sublease, you are not the owner. So in that case, this income cannot be taxable in house property. Okay. Then the third thing is, it is not occupied by him for the purpose of any business or profession carried on by him. Meaning thereby, this building or a land which is associated with that building, that should not be occupied for the purpose of business. Likewise, you should not use that property for the purpose of your business. Like if you have a own building where you are carrying out your business operations, and that may be your factory, maybe your office, and you have let out that property for which where you have where you which you used to do for business purpose, use for the business purpose, so that definitely cannot be taxable under house property. That will be taxable under PGBP, that is business income. So you have to understand these three conditions. Number one, there should be a building. Number two, uh, you should be the owner of that building, either legal or deemed. And lastly, number three, you should not use that building for the purpose of the business which is carried on by the SSC. Okay, this is the three conditions. Only if all the three conditions are satisfied, your income will be taxable under house property, else it will not be taxable under house property. I've got one question in Q&A. Sir, at last, please just direct which sections we must keep in mind. Okay, definitely, Devjit. I will tell you. Uh, I'll tell you. I will tell you which section will be kept in mind. You don't worry. I'll tell you which section to be kept in mind. Basically, I would say all the sections, other than few. Okay, other than few which I'll be telling. Don't worry. Although I've written in the mat, but which sections you have to remember, I'll tell you. Don't worry. Okay, just you follow the provisions. Okay. Okay, so these are the three conditions based on which your income will be considered to be taxable under house property. Okay, so guys, now you can understand practically that in what cases your income will not be taxable. You just think opposites of everything. Okay, now say for example, number one opposite, I will say you are selling a house property. Okay, you are selling a house property, you're transferring a house property. In that case, will it be tax? Will that income from earned from transferring house property will come under income from house property, or will it go under income from capital gains? Sir, definitely it will go under income from capital gains, because income from capital gains क्यों जाएगा income from capital gains? Because income from capital gain talks about that you have to you have to take care of the part that it is from transfer. So income from house property will be covered only in this case where you have earned the rental income. अगर आप rental income earn करके रखे हो, then it will be taxable. Other else, if you have earned from transfer proceeds, then it will be taxable in the capital gains. Okay. Okay, sir. तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next example I can give you is that uh, example, मान लो कि you have a vacant land and you have given it for the rent. So that vacant land is not a building, so definitely will not be taxable in the house property. Sir, you are the tenant, you're not the owner of the building, and you have the tenant, but you have subleased that property. So you're not the owner of the property. So you cannot, your income cannot be taxable. Okay. Or where you're using the property for your own purpose, for your own business purpose, definitely, again, in that case, your income will not be taxable under house property. Okay. Okay. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now, in this case, guys, you just need to understand few important other basic concepts in house property, like always concentrate on what is the intention, what is the objective. Okay. Now, say for example, we need to analyze the objective to earn income. Say for example, if a particular person is objective to earn income is rental income. Okay, his objective is to earn rental income from leasing a property, then definitely that income will be taxable under HP. But if the person's intention behind earning the income is not to earn rent income, but it is connected with some business activity of his, so in that case it will not be taxable under house property, but will be taxable under PGBP. Okay, so I'm coming back. If your intention is to earn rental income, it will be taxable under house property. But if your intention to earn is not rental income, it is something related to business in efficient manner, then it is taxable under PGBP. Now say for example, in this I have a small example to give you in this. अगर आप समझ लो, एक बार समझ लो कि एक बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है टाटा, so Tata has established its factory in a remote area. Now since various workers are required to travel to and fro to that factory area from long distance from their homes, so it takes a lot of time. So Tata has decided to make a building complex near the factory area, for which Tata is charging a concessional rent to each of the employees. Now this rent which is charged by Tata from the employee, okay, now that income will be credited in the P&L account of Tata as rental income. Now you have to tell me, what will it be, which income will it be taxing it, like under which head will it be taxable? Will it be taxable under PGBP or will it be taxable under house property? You have to tell me. फटाफट chat box में इसका आंसर देके बताइए. You have to tell me, in this case, Tata's rental income from letting out of the property to its own employees, will it be taxable under house property or will it be taxable under PGBP? You have to answer me by giving in chat box. वेरी गुड आंसर. सब लोग ने करेक्ट आंसर दिया है, पीजीबीपी में ही सर टैक्स होगा, बिकॉज द बिजनेस intention was there, because the intention was to carry the businesses in efficient manner. This is number one. Number two, now when I used to talk about business purpose, I used to basically consider that property should not be used for the business of the SSC, like your business. Like if a tenant is using its property for his own business, that is not at all considerable for me. I am a SSC, I am a landlord, I have given my property to you for rent. Now whatever purpose you are using, I don't care. I have to see what purpose was I am using my property. Was it vacant for me? Was it used for purpose of my business, or was it as held as an investment? I have to analyze each and every point, and accordingly it will be decided that it is by what income. It is another other source income, house property or PGBP. Now guys, इसमें थर्ड पॉइंट आता है कि just try to understand that house property will be applicable in your case, even in a case where you have hold the property as a stock in trade. ऐसा मत सोचना. Don't think like this, that this building is a stock in trade for you, as an inventory for you. Basically you are into dealing into real estate projects, and you are considering this as a stock in trade, as a business asset, as a trading asset. So if you are renting out it as a trading asset, that will not be taxable under house property. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. And the secondly, where the SSE is engaged in business of letting out a property on rent, if your whole business is incidental to the carrying of business on rent, means your own business is what, that you let out properties on rent, in that case, even in that case, your income might be taxable under HP. But guys, let me tell you, although I should not tell you this, but final level पे आप ये पढ़ोगे that in this issue, I'll just tell you, in this issue there is a debate. Okay, there is a Supreme Court judgment. There's a Supreme Court judgment where I think it is Chennai Properties, Supreme Court judgment, Chennai Properties, where it was held by the Supreme Court that in this case where the SSE is wholly exclusively engaged in business of property on rent, in that case, that income will be taxable under PGBP. But in your institute, Matt, it is written that it will be taxable under HP, because you people don't have to study case laws. You don't have to study judgments given by the higher authorities, given by the courts. So I'm not taking you towards that angle, but abhi because I'm discussing with you also, I think मेरे को आपको दोनों भी बताना चाहिए था. But anyways, just keep this in mind that जिनको थोड़ा सा awkward भी लग रहा होगा, यार business कर रहे हैं, letting out का business कर रहे हैं, daily कर रहे हैं, exclusively कर रहे हैं, तो why shouldn't it be taxed under PGP? ऐसा नहीं, it can be taxable based on the Supreme Court judgment in Chennai Properties. But anyways, you just have to understand that we have to learn this, that if we are doing this, ignoring the decision of the Supreme Court, we are considering it will be taxable under HP. So stock in trade में अगर जाता है, तो stock in trade में हम उसको लेंगे, और stock in trade में भी we will be taxing under house property. Or if we are an SSE and we are engaged into letting out a property on rent, then also it may be taxable under HP. Now you have to understand basically two things. Now it might be that if you remember articles of association ka object clause, where you have to specify what is the objective of the company, what is the exact business does it engaged into. Now if your letting out activity is your main business, if you're engaged as a main business, that letting out is a main business, okay, then definitely whatever income you're earning from that letting out activity, that will be taxable under HP, which I just told you. Okay, but just say for example that letting out property is not your main business. You have one principal business, like maybe you are a dealer or a trader of laptops or electronic items, but you also let out some office spaces or some excess spaces which you have for the purpose of properties or for the purpose of let out to earn rental income. Now again, I would like to tell you guys, again I'd like to tell you, if your letting out is not a main business but it is supplementary to the main business, okay, it is supplementary to the main business, then that income which you're earning from the let out, okay, just remember that Tata wala example. Tata का मेन बिजनेस इज डिफरेंट. टाटा नैनो हो गया, टाटा मोटर्स हो गया, या फिर टाटा डोकोमो हो गया. इट इज डिफरेंट बिजनेसेस. Letting out is not its different main business, but letting out is might be supplementary to the main business, that it is given in the object clause that it might let out also some properties in the near future. So that is not its main business, that is its additional, or it's supplementary to the main business. So what income it is earning from that supplementary business, that income will be taxable under PGBP. That income will not be taxed under house property, that will be taxable under PGBP. Business income का head में taxable होगा, वो house property के income के head में taxable नहीं होगा, because in that case the objective is somewhere related to the business, so you have to consider for PGBP purpose. But if letting out is wholly exclusively your main business, then ignoring the Supreme Court decision, your income will be taxable under house property. So I hope it is very clear. Then second point इसमें आपको ये ध्यान रखना है guys, that when I'm talking about ownership now, so you have to be the owner of the building. Okay, now that building comes with land. Now that land, क्या उस land का भी आपको owner बनना पड़ेगा? The answer is no. That land may not be your own land. That may be your leasehold land. Second, you should also remember that you don't have to like you have bought a property from another person, but still it is not registered in your name. So requirement of registration is not at all warranted. The person who owns the building need not be the owner of the land also upon which it stands. The SSE must be the owner of the property during the previous year. It is not material whether he is the owner in the assessment or not. जिस ईयर में मतलब जिस साल का इनकम निकाल रहे हो उस साल उसका ओनर होना जरूरी है. उसका ईयर it does not matter whether he has been the owner in the next year or not. Previous year में उसका income means he should be the owner of that particular property. So guys, these were the some basic things which I think you should remember. Although ये यहाँ पे not very much focused for the examinations, but yes, definitely it is focused for your basic understanding as to when the income will be taxable, when it will not be taxable. So you should understand when the income will be taxable, when it is not taxable. Now next, section 23, determination of annual value. Now you don't have to learn the section number. You don't have to learn this section number. Section 23 आपको learn करने का दरकार नहीं है. You have to learn section 22. You have to learn section 24. You have to learn section 25, 25A, 26 and 27. 23 के जितने भी subsections है, clauses है, you don't have to learn. I have repeated it. Okay. Now this section 23 basically will provide us how will you determine the annual value. Now section 23 told us ki annual value will be taxable, but now section 23 will ask us or will tell us how will you determine the annual value. Will give us simple formula, and this is only which is bang on asked to you in the examinations. यही आपको अच्छे से prepare करके जाना पड़ेगा. Now guys, in this case you need to understand one thing, that there are several cases. Okay, there are several cases, there are several situations which will be going through it, and I have given the detailed examples in my regular classes for each of the cases. Here I'll be taking only the summary. Okay, I'm not going to show you the examples. Agar aapka koi query hai, you can definitely ask me. I'll be happy to help you, but in that else I will be just giving you a brief summary, and I'll be going through all these situations, and I'll make sure that what the general mistake students commit in their examination, I will tell you that these are the mistakes they come in, they do it in their examinations, and so that you do not repeat those mistakes when you are doing when you are giving your examinations. So coming back, section 23, determination of annual value. Now how will you determine the annual value? आप annual value को कैसे determine करोगे, ये आपको समझना जरूरी है. ठीक है सर. So उसके लिए first of all there's a master blaster table which is there in front of you. This table you have to just keep in mind. This is the ready-made table which has to be gone in each and every sum of house property. Okay. First of all, you need to calculate the gross annual value. You need to calculate the gross annual value. JV आप निकालोगे. JV आप निकालेंगे. Sir, can you once again make me understand the F point page number 142? मैं आऊंगा. Shreyashi, please give me some time. I'll come back to this. Since I've taken this, let me do this. I'll just come back. Okay. I'll just come back. You please be on hold. I'll come back to your question. It is very simple. Let me explain this. उसके बाद मैं आपके Q&A में आऊंगा. It's good that you have typed in. Your query will be answered once we have finished this topic. So determination of annual value, computation of income from house property, computation of income from house property. This query is not related to future things. Okay, that's why I'm skipping this query. Had this been query related to my future topics, so I would have given you answer then and there. So you don't worry, you just pay attention. Yeah. So determination of annual value, section 23, guys, basically tells us ki how will you determine the annual value. So as I told you, you have to see this table very nicely. This is the table which you have to know, and this is the table which exactly will come in the examinations. So first of all, you need to know कि GAV होता है. सबसे पहले there's a term known as gross annual value. Gross annual value. So you have to calculate GAV separately. That I'll tell you separately how to calculate GAV. Okay. Then comes municipal taxes. As you all must be knowing that we have to pay some taxes towards our property to the local authority, that is municipal corporation of your state. So municipal taxes has to be paid. So whatever municipal taxes which has been paid, that's the catch. If I have not paid the municipal taxes, I will not be getting any deduction. But if I have paid the municipal taxes even for the last years, in this year I'll be getting deduction in this year. Basically it is on payment basis, it is on cash basis. If you have paid, you claim, else you will not claim the deduction. Okay. So अगर आप municipal taxes pay नहीं किए हो, खाली accrue किए हो, so you will not be getting any deduction. Your amount deduction will be 0. So from that GV, it will be the municipal tax paid will be reduced to arrive at NAV, that is net annual value. This value we were talking about in section 22. यही वो value था जो हम लोग section 22 में बात कर रहे थे कि annual value taxable होगा. Now guys, section 24 separately provides us two kind of deductions. Section number 24 separately provides us two kinds of deductions. One deduction under section 24A and another deduction under section 24B. Now if I talk about deduction under section 24A, 24A wala jo deduction hai, that tells about 30% of NAV. Now this is standard, you cannot change it. Okay, you cannot change it. ये standard रहेगा, आप इसे change नहीं कर सकते. जो भी whatever NAV आएगा उसका 30% flat you have to reduce it and give it. It will not be mentioned in the question that standard deduction is given or provided. You have to assume it, you have to give it by force. You have to give it. It will not be mentioned. Okay, it will not be mentioned in the question. It will not be mentioned. You have to give the standard deduction irrespective, even it is a 10 rupee income, even if it is a lakh income, if it is a crore income, you will give 30% standard deduction only. Okay, then comes interest on borrowed capital. Basically whatever loan you have taken for either purchasing the building or constructing the building, or constructing or purchasing both the properties, or any purpose related to property, and interest you have paid for that particular property, that will be allowed as a deduction from NAV. And again, finally, this interest, nothing has been mentioned whether it has to be paid or not, as it is mentioned in municipal tax. So in case of interest, you just need to understand that interest on loan, if you are paying, interest on loan, if it is accruing, you can claim the deduction. You don't have to pay the interest to claim the deduction. So interest on the loan can be taken as a deduction while computing income from house property. अगर आपको HP income निकालना है तो अब ये दो deductions दे देंगे, उसके बाद आपका final HP income आ जाएगा. That's all about this chapter, guys. अब मैं आपको इसी के बारे में डिटेल में in detail I'll be telling you कि what are the meanings of various things. What is GAV? What is municipal tax? How will you compute interest? What is the modus operandi of giving standard deductions? Acha, one more twist in this question which can come for your examination. They might give you some other expenses like water expense, lighting expense, some kind of tax which is not municipal tax, which is not related to local authority tax. They might give you some other expenses, so you please do not give any deduction for that, because it is strictly mentioned in the act that you will get only three deductions. One is municipal tax paid, second is standard deduction, third is interest on borrowed capital. You will not be getting any deduction in case of house property. Okay, so ये तीन डिडक्शन आपको मिलेगा और बाकी आपको कोई भी डिडक्शन नहीं मिलेगा. एम आई क्लियर ऑन दिस? जितना भी अभी तक मैं समझाऊं, क्या आप लोग सब क्लियर है? प्लीज चैट बॉक्स में फटाफट मेरे को रिप्लाई करके बताइए. यस लिखिए इफ यू आर क्लियर. यस लिखिए इफ यू आर क्लियर. Please, everyone has to answer, guys. I'm seeing many students are not answering. सब लोग प्लीज आंसर दे, वरना मुझे पता नहीं चलेगा, मेरे को सबके बारे में सोचना है. एवरीवन प्लीज आंसर. Okay, so that's good, everyone has understood. So guys, this was the overall view how to compute HP. Now we will understand एक एक करके अपने चलते हैं. First of all, we'll take how to compute GAV. Now GAV is a very important crucial element to compute income from house property, because if JV is wrong, everything will be wrong. Now you need to understand one thing in house property, that everything is related to each other. If you have calculated JV wrong, although you have calculated municipal tax right or interest right, your standard deduction will be wrong, your NA will be wrong, your HP will be wrong, everything will be wrong. If your NAV is wrong, your standard deduction automatically gets wrong, because NAV के ऊपर ही आपको 30% standard deduction मिलता है. So you either you give a full marks, get full marks in this sum, or you get very poor marks in HP kind of sums, because it is either do or die. If you get right, you get right full, else you will get screwed up if you do not if you make mistake in any one of the particular thing. Okay, so you better be very careful when you are doing this. So how to compute GAV, let's understand. So GAV is higher of expected rent and actual rent. देखिए मैं थोड़ा slow जाऊंगा इसमें. Okay, please try to be patient. Even if you know the topic, please try to be patient. There are other students who may not be understand, who may have some issues in the topic, so have to go in a correct pace. Please do not leave this session. This session is made for you, and I have exclusively arranged for you. There's no other participant. Only batch 20B. Only batch 20B students are able to see these classes. No other students are able to see these classes. So how to compute JV? JV is basically higher of expected rent and actual rent. Expected and actual rent whichever is higher, इसी का आपको लेके चलना है GAV. लेकिन इस केस में एक और कैच है, देयर इज समथिंग नोन एज स्टैंडर्ड रेंट. ओके, नाउ this will come later on. First you understand what is expected rent. Expected rent means the expectation from that property to fetch you the income. Okay, that may be some market rent or some fair rent or rent which is capable to be earned from letting out of a property. Actual rent is the actual rent you receive from that property. It is not where market related. So whichever is higher, you will have to get that as GAV of the property. Now फर्स्ट द जीवी का जो होता है वो होता है म्युनिसिपल वैल्यू और फेयर रेंट विच एवर इज हायर बट नॉट एक्सीडिंग स्टैंडर्ड रेंट. यू हैव टू टेक MV and FR का higher, but you that should not exceed standard rent. I am repeating, that should not exceed. Student gets mistaken by taking standard rent if standard rent is higher. No, standard rent just gives a limit. Say for example 100 rupees, say for example 100 rupees MV, say for example 100 rupees MV and 120 rupees FR and 140 rupees SR. So student will do okay, तीनों में से जो higher है वही कर लो. Wrong, बिल्कुल wrong. So 100 and 120, whichever is higher is 120, cannot exceed standard rent. Okay, cannot exceed standard rent. So you can take 140 as the answer. You can take 140 as the answer. But if I take 100 municipal value, fair rent 160, I repeat, fair rent 160, but standard rent 140. So standard rent gave you the limit, so you cannot go beyond that. So 140 is your expected rent. So this is how we calculate. So municipal value of fair rent, whichever is higher but not exceeding standard rent, gives you the expected rent. Now uske baad you compare it with actual rent which you received, and whichever is higher is your GAV. So some important thing which I'm telling you about this particular thing. Now when I am talking about actual rent, I mean to say actual rent is always for actual period, your let out period. If your property was vacant for 4 months and it was let out for 8 months, your actual rent will only be for 8 months because you have let out for 8 months. But expected rent is for the ownership period. If you have bought the property from beforehand, and if you have, even if you have not let out the property, your expected rent will be calculated. Expected rent will be counted. मतलब उसका मीटर पहले से ही चालू हो जाता है जब से आप ओन करना चालू किए. So say for assuming if you have owned the property from starting date, I will consider expected rent for full 12 months because I'm owner for the full 12 months, but I'll be taking actual rent only for 8 months. So you have to compare between the actual rent of 8 months and expected rent of 12 months, subject to the condition which I told you. So municipal value and fair rent, whichever is higher but not exceeding standard rent, is the expected rent, and expected rent or actual rent, whichever is higher, gives you the GAV of the property. It's got different meanings, you know. I'm not repeating that. Okay. Now there's different situations in GAV kind of sums. So the first situation is if you let out the property throughout the previous year. So you can see I made you know, do this, solve different problems in your regular classes. If anyone has any query, you can post queries in the Q&A session. Okay, Q&A section में आप दे सकते हो. आप please chat box में मत डालिएगा क्योंकि chat box में it will be overlooked. Next comes illustration is the importance of unrealized rent. Situation 2 comes with unrealized rent. Now, what is unrealized rent? Trust me, it has come in examination since last 2 terms, and it's very important for you. You just need to understand some basic things. What is unrealized rent? As you all know, there's a bad debt. There's something known as bad debt. You should get that rent, but your tenant failed to pay you that rent, and after which he vacated or he is not paying you that rent only. So actual rent में तो count हो गया था, but now since you have not received the rent, because actual rent is never on cash basis, it is received or receivable. Even you have you know, your right to receive rent has come, that will computed in that will be taken in actual rent whether you have received or not. So you can say एक बार में कि HP may not tax you on a real income basis, but it may tax your notional income. Although you have not earned that income, maybe you are capable to earn that income, or maybe your market is that income can be in, because you know expected rent is taken in GAV. Now expected rent is not the rent which you're earning. Okay, the rent which you're earning is actual rent, but The only head in income tax is house property, where we can say that HP income, by seeing the HP head, where we can say that the notional income method will be applicable as compared to real income method. So the second point is unrealized rent, and unrealized rent is basically will be reduced from the actual rent. It will be reduced from the actual rent only four conditions are fulfilled, subject to rule 4. Now, what are those four conditions? What are those four conditions? Sir, if these four conditions are not fulfilled, now let me tell you, your unrealized rent will not be reduced from the actual rent. You cannot reduce it. And if you cannot reduce it, your actual rent will always be higher and your GA will also be higher. So first of all, the tenancy should be bona fide. Bona fide means it should be legal, it should be proper, it should not be void at any option. And the tenant which has defaulted, it has they have vacated the property, or steps have been taken him for him to vacate the property. He is not in occupation of any other property of yours. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि वो आपके बाकी सारे प्रॉपर्टी का टेनेंट है और इस प्रॉपर्टी का वो आपको रेंट नहीं दे रहा है, वैसा कुछ भी नहीं. He should not be tenant of any of your properties. And SSC has taken all the reasonable steps, and no legal proceedings has been taken because AO has been made satisfied that legal proceedings will not at all be advisable. Rahul Singh का query आया है. It means that AR period will be always equal or less than ER period. No, never, Rahul Singh. ऐसा नहीं है. Actual rent period and expected rent may be same, because if the property is let out for the entire year, then actual rent will be for 12 months and expected rent will also be for 12 months. Okay. ऐसा नहीं है, आप गलत सोच रहे हैं राहुल सिंह. बोथ कैन बी फॉर सेम मंथ्स. In fact, I would have a more example. Expected rent can also be for a period less than 12 months. Say, for example, you have purchased the property on 1st July. Okay, so April, May, June, this 3 months you did not have the property. So your expected rent will not be for 12 months. It will be for 12 minus 3, that is 9 months. 9 months के लिए आपका वो property आपके पास था. तो 9 months proportionately you have to calculate the expected rent for expected rent मैं बोल रहा हूँ. But actual rent, again, it depends upon let out. If you have let out for 9 months, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, that depends upon the question. Okay, so I hope it is clear. 6 months and let out period and expected rent period. Okay, so okay, this was unrealized rent, was quite simple. You just have to reduce it from actual rent and just compare it with your expected rent, and whichever is higher will be the GAV. Next आता है guys situation number 3, where there's a important adjustment of vacancy. Try to understand this very nicely. Vacancy means क्या? What is the concept of vacancy? Simple है. I have been a tenant for you from April to December. Suddenly, January May, I vacated the property. Okay, I am not staying at your property. January May, I am vacated the property. I am not staying at the property. Shreyashi and Rahul, I'll be taking your query. Shreyashi, I'll be taking your query. Okay. मैं सबका क्वेरी लूंगा, मेरे को पहले इसका आंसर खत्म करने दीजिए. ओके, मतलब डिस्कशन खत्म करने दीजिए, प्लीज वेट. So let out throughout the previous year with unrealized rent and with vacancy. In that case, sir, just try to understand that again I'll coming back to my example, that if you're owning the property from 1st April till 31st December, you are getting 9 months. 9 months you have let out, but say for example, tenant has if you are owning for 12 months, I'm talking about tenant has used the property for 9 months, but from January to March it has not used the property. It is vacated the property. So what will you do? What will be the tax implications in the hands of the landlord? What will be the tax implications in the hands of the owner? So in that case, we need to understand that if vacation has been made, so इसमें owner का क्या गलती है? That rent has not at all been received by the owner, and he was not entitled to receive by the owner because the tenant has vacated the property. In that case, उसमें कोई doubt ही नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि tenant vacate कर दिया property. In that case, he's not entitled to receive the rent. So in this case, try to understand, vacancy will be reduced from the actual rent. Okay, vacancy will be reduced from the actual rent. Now, how will you compute GAV in this case? How will you compute GAV in this case? Now, in this case, you need to understand. See, just try to understand. You have expected rent and you have actual rent. Okay, so in this case I would say rather you have net actual rent. Actual rent minus vacancy gives you net actual rent. So you will compare ER and you will compare NAR. NAR means net actual rent. Now you, what you need to do is you need to check, you need to check the expected rent and, right, please listen to me very carefully, you have to check the expected rent and the actual rent before reducing the vacancy. I would again repeat, you have to check the expected rent and the actual rent before reducing the vacancy. Okay, in that case it can be two things. If expected rent is higher, if expected rent is higher or if expected rent is lower. If expected rent is higher than actual rent before vacancy, then the point gets over. Expected rent will be the GAV. But if expected rent is lower, I repeat, if expected rent is lower, I repeat, if expected rent is lower than the actual rent, means actual rent before vacancy is higher than expected rent. आपका actual rent before vacancy is higher than expected rent. So in that case, if actual rent before vacancy is higher than expected rent, means sir vacancy के पहले तो actual rent ज़्यादा था. Okay, the point is clear. Now after reducing vacancy from the actual rent, if the net actual rent is less than the above expected rent, if the net actual rent is less than the expected rent, in that case, this situation says the actual rent, which is the net actual rent, will be the GAV of the property, although it is lower. Although it is lower, because we have checked that before vacancy, the rent was higher. After vacancy, the rent was reduced. So if the impact of lower of rent is because of vacancy, then he will be given the full consideration, and in that case his higher property value will not be taken, his lower property value, that is the net actual rent, will be taken. But if in this case, even after reducing the vacancy, the net actual rent still remains lower than expected rent, then the expected rent will ultimately become the GAV of the property. So agar main numerically aapko samjhaun, just take in mind 100 rupees is the expected rent. Okay, 100 rupees is the expected rent. Actual rent is 110. I repeat, actual rent is 110. ध्यान से देखो, actual rent is more than, actual rent is more than ER. Okay, but vacancy is minus 20. Vacancy is minus 20. So vacancy minus 20 gives 110 minus 20 will give you 90. Now you compare 100 and 90. Any student will do 100, which is wrong, because in this case, because of vacancy of 20, 110 was reduced to 90, which is lower than 100, and that is why 90 will be the GAV of the property. तो इसमें स्टूडेंट्स को बहुत ज्यादा डाउट होता है, जो मैंने आपको क्लियरली बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से मैंने ट्राई किया आपको समझाने का. सो अगर आप प्लीज जिनको समझ में आ गया, यू जस्ट राइट फाइन, just write fine. If you have understood this vacancy wala concept, just write fine so that I can move further. Okay, thank you so much, everyone understood. Now let's come to the fourth situation. Let's come to the fourth situation, very very important. Sir, what everyone lives in a self occupied property. Okay, आप लोग सब अभी जहाँ पे भी रह रहे हो वो एक आपका सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में मान के चल रहा हो, रेंटेड नहीं है, मतलब वो आपका खुद का ओन किया हुआ प्रॉपर्टी है, वो आप किसी से रेंट नहीं लेके रखे हो. सो यू आर लिविंग इन योर ओन हाउस. एवरीवन हैज इट्स ओन हाउस. Okay, so you are home quarantine, you are having your own house, and you are sitting in your own house, you are seeing classes from there. So sir, what about that? Even that is a house property. Yes, definitely that is a house property. So will you compute GAV, NAV, municipal tax for that property also? Will that will also come in your income? ऐसे तो आना चाहिए था, बट अगर ये कर देता तो इट शुड बी सो एम्बैरेसिंग फॉर एवरीवन कि आप जिस प्रॉपर्टी में रह रहे हो उसका भी इनकम टैक्स लग रहा है? डेफिनेटली नहीं लग सकता, बिकॉज यू आर पेइंग म्युनिसिपल टैक्स. Income tax cannot be paid on that. So in that is why there's a situation in section 23, situation number 4, that any particular SSE can have self-occupied property जिसका NAV, whose NAV will be zero. Whose NAV will be zero मतलब जिनका net annual value क्या होगा? Zero रहेगा, nil होगा. Means if NAV is zero, then standard deduction is zero. Only leaves kya? Interest on loan. So in case of self-occupied property, you can have minus, means loss under house property. You are paying interest for the loan which you are using it for your own house property, which you are using it for self-occupied purpose. So in that case, you are incurring a loss. You are not getting an income. ठीक है ना? So loss from house property will be 2 lakhs. Income from house property will be minus 2 lakhs. Or whatever, minus 1,50,000, jo bhi. Interest on loan will be the amount which will be the loss under house property. Now in this case, guys, a SSE and SSE can have n number of properties. So in this case, it has been restricted. It has been restricted that maximum 2 residential house properties can be taken as nil. Sir, what if a particular person has 10 properties which he is using out for self-occupied and he has not let out any other properties? So in that case, we'll have in situation 5. We हम लोग पढ़ेंगे situation 5 में. We'll study in situation 5 deemed let out property. That is DLO. We'll study in DLO. We'll study in DLO deemed let out property. Where an SSE owns more than 2 houses. 2 houses तक तो annual value 0. मतलब 2 houses तक you can have minus. But if you are having more than 2 houses, in that case, government has given you an option. You select. Government will not select. You select which 2 houses you have to claim annual value as 0, and which are the other houses you want to claim as deemed to be let out. Means although you are not earning actual rent from that particular properties, but you have to consider you have let out. And अगर कंसिडर कर रहे हैं एक्चुअल नहीं है तो एक्चुअल रेंट तो आएगा ही नहीं. सो योर जीएवी विल बी व्हाट? एक्सपेक्टेड रेंट. क्वाइट सिंपल सर, क्वाइट लॉजिकल. योर जीएवी विल बी एक्सपेक्टेड रेंट, एंड एक्सपेक्टेड रेंट से जीएवी आएगा. जीएवी से ही हम नॉर्मली जैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं, म्युनिसिपल टैक्स हुआ, व्हाटएवर एक्स वाई जेड, सब जो आपका कंप्यूटेशन है वो वैसे ही चलता रहेगा. So the situation 5 comes from situation 4, that if I'm owning more than 2 self-occupied properties, then in that case 2 of the self-occupied properties to nil hoga, that is at my option, and the other properties will be deemed to be let out. So sir, how will you decide whether you should select a house property to be self-occupied or DLO? Very simple, sir. Very simple. In your examination, this can be a very important sum for your examination because of recent amendments. Sir, आपको एग्जाम में क्या करें मैं बताता हूँ. You will be given 3 house properties. Okay. Now in that 3 house properties, just try to understand. Try to understand. You have to create 3 options. And आपको बता देगा कि that all the 3 properties you're using it for self-occupied purpose. You have to create 3 options where you have to take each of the 2 houses as self-occupied and other 1 house property as DLO. I repeat, you have to take 2 of the houses as self-occupied and other 1 property as DLO, because आपको 3 घर दे रहा है. Say house 1, house 2, house 3. Listen to me very carefully. You will be given 3 houses, house 1, house 2, house 3. House 1, house 2 will be considered as SO, that is self-occupied, and house 3 will be considered as DLO in first option. Next, house 2, house 3 will be considered as self-occupied and house 1 will be considered as DLO. Okay, finished. Next, house 3 and house 1 will be considered as self-occupied and house 2 will be considered as DLO. So in this case, I think you can understand that हम लोग ने हर बार एक एक को DLO रखा है, हर बार हम लोग ने ऑल्टरनेटिवली 2-2 को SO भी रख लिया. मतलब सबको इक्वल एंड फेयर चांस मिला है. अकॉर्डिंगली इन द लास्ट केस वी विल जस्ट इवैल्यूएट इन विच ऑफ द ऑप्शन वी आर गेटिंग द लोएस्ट इनकम फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी. लाइक H1, H2, H3 में H1, H2 को SO रख के और H3 को DLO रख के अगर 20 रुपीज आ रहा है, ऑप्शन 2 में H1 और H3 को SO रख के और H2 को DLO रखे अगर 30 रुपीज आ रहे तो डेफिनेटली 30 is not at all viable because I already have 20. Why will I take 30? But in option number 3, you are getting 10 rupees. So obviously you'll also ignore 20, you'll take 10. So in option 3, जो भी आपका combination बैठा हुआ था, say which of the two self-occupied properties and which is the DLO, accordingly you will consider that as your final answer. So I think this is a very good question for examination. This kind of questions then definitely come. बहुत important है, mark करके चलिएगा कि आपको 3 घर दिया रहेगा, SO रहेगा, यहाँ पे आपको DLO मान के सब 3 ऑप्शंस करके क्रिएट करके करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है ना? So this was all about situation number 5. Now we'll take up situation number 6 and situation number 7, which is the last. Situation 6 is nothing but, guys, let's try to understand that मान लो you have one property and you have used that property for 5 months you have used for your own purpose, that is self-occupied, and for 7 months, that is the balance period, you have let out. So how will you treat that? Just simple एक concept याद रखो. Self-occupied annual value is 0 only possible if you have not used or if you have not let out the property for a single day. If you have let out the property for a single day, you cannot claim that property as annual value 0. Self-occupied should be throughout the entire year. So when I come to period-wise sum, means you are half the period or some part of the period it is let out, some part of the period it is self-occupied. In that case, you have to, again, as per section 23, you have to do the sum normally as if the property was not self-occupied. Matlab, actual rent will definitely will not be for 12 months. It will be for lesser than 12 months. Why? Because some part of the property was used. I mean, for some period, the property was used for self-occupied purpose. So for that period, you are not going to count the actual rent. अगर आप 4 महीना मानो, in this case 5 months of self-occupied purpose के लिए use किए, 7 months you have used it for your own purpose. I mean, for let out purpose. So 7 months का actual rent लेंगे, but expected rent will be taken for the entire 12 months. इसमें कोई भी doubt नहीं है. Expected rent पूरा 12 महीने का लेंगे, even for that self-occupied part. Okay, you need to understand it very very nicely. So this is situation number 6. Normally इसमें कुछ है नहीं, जो मैंने कराना था मैंने आपको बता दिया. Lastly, the most number of times which the examiner is asked in your examination is this part, situation number 7, that is area wise. It's very simple. The moment any ratio, the moment any equal dimensional area, something will be given, you just blindly understand that this sum is nothing but coming from this situation, that is area wise, partly let out and partly self-occupied during the year, which is area. Example, you are living in a ground floor and someone, and you have also first floor you have given it for rent, and ground floor you are living in on your own. So how will you compute HP income? So in this case, simple mathematical calculation मैं आपको समझाता हूँ. You will compute the income normally and then you will divide it into two parts. First of all, basically, government has said that let out and SO, this can be the two parts. Okay, first part will be S let out, second part will be self-occupied. If you have a single house having ground floor and first floor, you consider that as two houses. That's it. That is not a single house. That is two houses. First house is self-occupied. Second house is DLO. Sorry, not DLO, let out. So you have to compute the house property individually. Okay. Now, agar मैं आपको बता दूं, instead of this, I'll tell you that you have a 1,000 square feet house. 400 square feet is used for let out, and 600 square feet is used for self-occupied. Obviously, 40%. Anyone can save. Anyone has a basic mathematics बता रहे. 40% of this will be used. 40% of this will be used for let out. So 40% of the total figure will be for let out. 60% of the total figure will be for self-occupied. Now this HP का जो अपने method table याद किए थे, ER, AR, whatever, this municipal tax, this interest, this standard deduction, everything you have to do proportionately. We have to do proportionately other than actual rent. Sir, because ध्यान से सुनो, when I compute income from house property from let out unit, so let out unit के लिए तो हम लोग normally जैसे करते हैं हम लोग कर लेंगे, actual rent भी ले लेंगे, but जब हम compute करेंगे for self occupied, how we will insert एक्चुअल रेंट, बिकॉज एक्चुअल रेंट आएगा ही नहीं सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में. तो एक्चुअल रेंट को अपने को प्रोपोर्शनेटली नहीं करना पड़ेगा, पूरा का पूरा हम लोग को एक्चुअल रेंट लेना पड़ेगा लेट आउट के केस में. बट इन द केस ऑफ expected rent I mean, but in the case of self or other things like expected rent ho gaya, expected rent में municipal value, fair and standard rent, then municipal tax हो गया, even that has to be proportionately distributed, standard deduction automatically हो जाएगा, interest भी आपको you have to proportionately distribute, and in that case the sum total will give you the answer. So area wise sum में you have to understand that you have to divide the properties into such a manner that it comes to the area wise sum. Okay, any doubts किसी को? क्या इस केस में किसी को कोई भी डाउट है? अगर डाउट है तो प्लीज Q&A सेशन में लिखिए, अभी लिख लीजिए, कोई भी डाउट है प्लीज राइट इन द Q&A सेशन. ओके, इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट प्लीज राइट इन द Q&A सेक्शन. सबको समझ में आ गया तो जस्ट गिव मी अ थम्स अप फटाफट. इफ एवरीवन हैज अंडरस्टूड गिव मी अ थम्स अप फटाफट. ओके, आई थिंक सबको समझ में आ गया है. Thank you guys, thank you so much. Now comes the next part of the situation. Guys, you have a municipal property and you have held that property as stock in trade. आपके पास वो प्रॉपर्टी था और आपने उस प्रॉपर्टी को as stock in trade रखा. ठीक है, यानी मान लो एक रियल एस्टेट बिल्डर है, उसका प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट हो गया, ही हैज हिज ओन प्रॉपर्टी, हिज प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्शन इज कंप्लीटेड. नाउ इस हिज प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्शन इज कंप्लीटेड, इन दैट केस if I talk about income from HP, तो ऐसा है ना कि it will start computing your income from the year in which completion of the property is construction of the property is completed. उसी साल से वो पूरा प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्शन चालू कर देगा. और अगर वो उसी साल से प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्शन चालू कर देगा, इसका मतलब क्या? इसका मतलब ये, अगर वो उसी साल से प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्शन चालू कर दिया ना, सो इन दैट केस व्हाट विल हैपन, आई मीन कंप्लीट हो गया सर, उसका एचपी इनकम चालू हो जाएगा. ऑल्दो दैट प्रॉपर्टी एक्चुअल एंड मे नॉट स्टार्ट, the property actual end may not start, but its property construction will start, construction has completed, his income will be taxable. How is it possible? How can the income come just as soon as possible? ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता. So it was a genuine hardship which was there, which was faced by the real estate builders, the real estate industry, and that is why government has had to bring a separate provision from them for them, and that is that if the property is held for stock in trade, and if you have not let out the property for during any part of the period, and you have completed the construction in this year, then your annual value will be zero. Annual value will be zero up to 2 years. पहले ही 1 साल था, अब ये 2 साल हो गया. The annual value will be zero up to 2 years for end of the financial year in which the certificate of completion of the property is obtained from the competent authority if such property is not let out during such period. मान लीजिए first June 2019 को the property construction got completed. Now government would have from that period would have taxed it under HP income. Definitely notional income के basis पे कर सकते थे, but in this case it will not be done because it is clearly mentioned that you come in the end of financial year, 1st June 19 means 31st March 20 plus 2 years you will get 21 22 31st March 22 तक आपका income taxable नहीं होगा under section 23 subsection 5. You don't have to learn the section number. It can come in your examination as an objective part, just understand that. ठीक है, so 2 years तक आपका annual value 0 होगा. Now this is the summary situations of all the GV. ये सब आपके मैट में है जो मैंने आपके लिए एक्सप्लेन किया था नॉर्मली, तो आप इसको रिवाइज कर सकते हो यहाँ से. अब अपने आते गाइस म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स में. विल कम टू म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स. म्यूनिसिपल टैक्सेस क्या होता है नॉर्मली सब जानते हैं. इट इज लेविड ऑन द प्रॉपर्टी बाय द लोकल अथॉरिटीज एंड इट इज अलाउड एज रिडक्शन व्हाइल कंप्यूटिंग NAV, and but it has to be paid first. Okay, if you do not pay, you con owner is calculating. Sometimes what happen, municipal tax is paid by the tenant. If municipal tax is paid by the tenant, no one gets nothing. Tenant will not get any deduction. Municipal tax is paid by the owner, only owner will get the deduction. So if owner has borne the tax, and if it is actually paid by the owner, only in that case, municipal tax deduction will be getting by the owner, else no one will be getting any deduction. Municipal tax paid by the tenant is not allowed as deduction. Municipal tax are allowed in the previous year in which the payment is made, irrespective of the fact the liability to pay tax arises. कब liability है? मान लो example, you may pay municipal tax in advance for the other years in now also. Advance municipal tax can also be paid. In that case, this year everything will be allowed as deduction. Basically, in the year of payment, you will be getting the deduction. Other taxes which you pay to the local authorities related to building, related to services, or other taxes included there will also be allowed as deduction. But taxes which is levied by state government are not allowed. Only local body taxes are allowed. Example also, if your property is situated outside India and you are ROR, obviously your income from HP will be taxable in India, because income is accrued outside India and you are ROR. So residence rule के हिसाब से your income will be taxable in India. In that case, what about the property which is outside India? You are paying any local taxes outside India. You're not paying to any tax in India. So as per court judgments, it is quite clear that if a property is taxable in India, all benefits which is given to a property whose domicile is in India should also be given to the properties whose base is outside India. मतलब अगर वो property India के बाहर है but tax तो India में हो रहा है ना, accordingly दोनों को same treat किया जाएगा. Means local body taxes, local authority taxes paid outside India for an outside property will be also treated as same. In that case also deduction will be provided. No deduction of municipal tax is allowed for self-occupied property as NAV is already nil. आपको पता है NAV nil कर दिया तो आपका municipal tax का बात ही नहीं आता. Okay, so this is very simple. Then comes, I think, the most important dilemma for any student in this chapter comes in this part only, that is interest. Interest में थोड़ा वो confuse हो जाते हैं, which I'll be taking very important, very nicely, very simply, and मैं आपको बहुत जल्दी बता दूंगा, ठीक है? अपने 15 मिनट में सेशन को रैप अप कर लेंगे, बहुत कम है, ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं. So it's very simple. Just understand simple things. Deductions under section 24. So 24A comes about standard deduction. If you're getting standard deduction, it's simple. Irrespective of whatever, you'll get the standard deduction at 24A at the rate of 30% of the NAV. Next comes interest on borrowed capital under section 24B, which you will get on accrual basis, whether you have paid that interest or you have not paid the interest. ठीक है? तो अगर आपने पे किया है, नहीं के पे के डज नॉट मैटर, आपको इंटरेस्ट का डिडक्शन मिलेगा, बट देयर इज अ मैकेनिज्म टू कंप्यूट दिस इंटरेस्ट. तो स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन, आई एम नॉट एक्सप्लेनिंग एनीथिंग. यू डोंट विल नॉट बी गेटिंग डिडक्शन ऑफ एनी अदर एक्सपेंस, इंश्योरेंस, लाइटिंग, पेंटिंग, वाटर जो भी आपको दिया रहेगा सब में, प्लीज उसे इग्नोर कर देना. नो डिडक्शन विल बी अलाउड टू यू इन दिस केस ऑफ अदर थिंग्स. ओके, नेक्स्ट आता है इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन. नाउ लेट्स कम इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एक सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट समझो. There are two types of interest in interest on loan. Interest on loan में दो तरह का लोन होता है. Interest on loan under section 24B allowed on accrual basis. पहला interest on loan होता है. Interest on loan दो तरीके का होता है. एक सेकंड, Q&A में कुछ आया है. हर्ष, मैं आपका आंसर देता हूँ, आप प्लीज थोड़ा वेट करो प्लीज. I'll give your answer. पहले आप इंटरेस्ट वाला पार्ट समझ जाइए. Interest on borrowed capital under section 24B allowed on accrual basis. In this case, your interest on loan, your interest, guys, is basically divided into two parts. First part is let out property. Second part is self-occupied property. Either you will take deduction from let out or you will take deduction from self-occupied. First of all, simple concept, there are two types of interest. First is current year interest and second is pre-co interest. Pre-co मतलब pre-construction. As the name suggests, sir, loan you have taken from earlier years. You have started started the construction of the building from starting, but you have completed later on. Obviously, some part of the loan, I mean, some part of the interest period for the loan was before the completion. मतलब आप आज प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट कियो बट आपको 4 साल हो गया लोन लिए, लोन आज भी चुकता नहीं कियो, रीपे नहीं कियो. सो इन दैट केस व्हाट विल हैपन? इन दैट केस इफ यू आर repaying the loan, although later on, सम पार्ट ऑफ द पीरियड 4 years बैक तक का जो पीरियड है वो तो आपका क्या हो जाएगा, प्री को इंटरेस्ट। वो क्या हो जाएगा, प्री मतलब कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट होने के पहले का इंटरेस्ट और कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट होने के बाद का इंटरेस्ट। सो कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट होने के बाद के इंटरेस्ट को वी से करंट ईयर इंटरेस्ट, एंड कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट होने के पहले का इंटरेस्ट को वी से प्री को इंटरेस्ट। सो व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट let out property, so current year interest will get the deduction always, and always pre-construction interest you get deduction over 5 years. You never get deduction pre-construction interest ek bar mein because the volume is quite high. So you'll get 1/5 of the total pre-construction interest as deduction in case of house property. There is no maximum limit, means you can get n number of amount का deduction, unlike self occupied property जो हम लोग अभी थोड़ी देर में डिस्कस करेंगे। सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड प्रॉपर्टी में कोई भी लिमिट, आई मीन for a let out property there is no limit to claim any interest. You can claim 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, whatever interest you can claim. But in case of self occupied property, everything is same. The difference is there's a limit of everything. There's a limit on everything, because you might understand let out property there is no means there is no negative value coming, because everything is taxable. But in self-occupied property, annual value is zero. So interest is the only thing which you have in self-occupied property. And since the interest is the only thing you have in self-occupied property, जो भी होगा वो माइनस में होगा। तो माइनस को अगर ज्यादा बढ़ावा दे देंगे तो इन दैट केस लॉस ज्यादा आ जाएगा। दैट्स व्हाई देयर इज अ लिमिट ऑन सेल्फ-ऑक्युपाइड प्रॉपर्टी। So repair and renewal, in case of repair and renewal, loan taken for repair and renewal, the maximum limit is 30,000. If you have taken any property loan for repair or renewal purpose, your maximum deduction which you can claim for a self-occupied property is 30, but for a let out property, no limit. और self occupied को अगर आप construct कर रहे हो या acquire कर रहे हो, and if the loan was taken before 1/4/1999, okay, if the loan was taken before 1/4/1999, then the maximum limit again will be only 30,000. आपको खाली 30,000 का इंटरेस्ट का डिडक्शन मिलेगा, उससे बेसिक का नहीं मिलेगा। तो जो रिपेयर के लिए था वही होगा कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए, द लोन इज टेकन बिफोर 1/4/99. But if the loan is taken on or after 1/4/1999, then the limit will be maximum 2 lakhs. Always, although there is a condition, the limit of 2 lakhs is subject to the condition that the construction must be completed within 5 years from the end of the financial in which the loan is taken. जिस साल आपने लोन लिया है उस साल के एंड में आ जाइए। 5 साल के अंदर अंदर आपका कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ तो आपको ये 2 लाख का लिमिट भी नहीं रहेगा, ये आपका लिमिट कितना रहेगा, 30,000 का लिमिट हो जाएगा। नाउ गाइज, एक बहुत ही सिंपल एग्जांपल से आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड यू दिस कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ let out this pre-co interest. You can see in the diagram. You can just see in the diagram. A has taken a loan of 5 lakhs for construction of the property on 1 October 18. Okay, this is the date of loan. Interest is 10% per annum. Construction कब complete हुआ ध्यान से देखिएगा, 30th June 19, यानी 30th June 19 को कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट हुआ। उसके पहले का जो पीरियड होगा वो प्री को होना चाहिए, उसके बाद का जो पीरियड होगा वो करंट में होना चाहिए। नो प्रिंसिपल रीपेमेंट हैज बीन मेड अप टू 31st March 20, मतलब योर इंटरेस्ट विल बी चार्ज ऑन द टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग बैलेंस। Compute the interest allowable as deduction. Now, guys, just a twist in this, which I want you to understand is, please do not confuse me. सर अभी आपने बोला 30th जून के पहले का पीरियड, ओके। नाउ 30th जून के पहले का पीरियड, just tell me one thing, your previous year is what previous year? 1920. Now, if I'm computing my income for previous year 1920, I told you there are two types of interest, current year and pre-co. Guys, just understand one thing, current year will always be for a period starting from 1st April of 19 till 31st March 20. Now, if I'm taking current year 1 April 19 to 31st March 20, and I'm telling you that pre-co will start immediately before 30th June 19. So April, May, June, these 3 months will be double counted in pre-co and also in current year. आप समझे कि नहीं समझे? मेरा बात फटाफट बोलिए। pre-co आपका 1/4/19 में भी चला जाएगा और pre-co आपका क्या बोलते हैं 3 मंथ्स प्रीको में भी चला जाएगा, वो 3 मंथ्स 1 अप्रैल में जून आपका करंट ईयर में भी चला जाएगा। इट विल बी ह्यूज प्रॉब्लम। सो इन ऑर्डर टू अवॉइड डबल काउंटिंग, व्हाट गवर्नमेंट had said, what you do is you just go in the year of completion, just before completion year, just before that completion year, whatever 31st March is coming, you just give a end of pre-construction interest till that. Say for example, अगर ये 18 भी होता ना 30th June 18, तो your pre-co interest period will end 31st March 18. This is 30th June 19. Your pre-co interest period will end on 31st March 19. तो अप्रैल में जून वाला जो पीरियड रहेगा वो करंट ईयर में आएगा। वो किस में आएगा? करंट ईयर में आएगा वो प्रीको में नहीं जाएगा. That will not go in preco. Preco will end just up to 31st March. So we generally say the preco interest is the interest pertaining to the period prior to the previous year in which the construction was completed. It is allowed over 5 years from the year in which the construction was completed. So in this case, see, you can just see the diagram. 1419 से जो होगा वो पूरा current year interest होगा और उसके पहले का whatever period is there that will be uh, I didn't understand your question, Ashish Jha. 25 है तो sir. What is 25 hai to, sir? Guys, please, whenever you ask question, please be very clear. Just don't write one or two words. It becomes very difficult for us to give the reply. 25 hai to, sir. What is this 25 hai to, sir? Where I have mentioned in February. Okay. So I guess it is fine. See how we have calculated. This 5 lakh interest was total outstanding 10% per annum. So 5 lakh ka 10% 50,000 de diya. So this 50,000 is current year interest. Now before 1419 till from 1st October 18 till 1419, if you can see 1st October 18 till 1419, it gave us how many months? It gave us allowed in previous year 1819, allowed in previous year 1819. So in this case, whatever pre-construction interest you have taken, the construction was completed on 30th June 19. Okay, so 1819. So 1819 is October to December, basically for 6 months. So 5 lakh ka 10% 50,000 and 25,000 for 6 months, and 25,000 is total period. You're getting divided by 5 as 5,000. So this 5 plus 50,000, that is 55,000. Since it is a let out property, no deduction, maximum limit is there. Okay. सर प्री कंस्ट्रक्शन के पीरियड का कोई लिमिट नहीं है ना सर, लाइक इट कैन बी मोर देन 5 ईयर. Rahul Singh, I did understand your question, but let me tell you, pre-construction can only be written off over a period of 5 years. If you have 20 rupees, you have to divide by 5. Whatever pre-co amount is given, you have to divide by 5. Rahul Singh, I hope my query is clear. My answer is clear. Whatever amount is there, you have to divide by 5. And you will get deduction for the next 5 years. Say, for example, your pre-co is from previous year 1819. So 1819, 1920, 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23. These are the 5 years you'll be getting deduction. Okay. There is no limit for pre-co as in for the amount. Again, you have to see self-occupied or let out. If let out is there, no limit. But if self-occupied is there, then total pre-co plus current year, total interest ka limit kya hota hai? 2 lakhs. If you're taken for construction, or if you're taken for purchase and loan is taken after 1/4/1999, else it is 30,000. Okay, so you have to follow the interest chart very very nicely. इसलिए मैंने चार्ट आपके लिए बनाया है. ये चार्ट बहुत ही ज्यादा सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी है. इससे ज्यादा सिंप्लीफाइड वे में चार्ट आपके लिए बन नहीं पाएगा. इट इज वेरी वेरी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी. उसका डिडक्शन लेने का लिमिट 5 ईयर है. हाँ राहुल सिंह, प्री को का आपको 5 ईयर में लेना पड़ेगा. ये 5 ईयर कोई लिमिट नहीं है. 5 ईयर इज द, यू आर एक्चुअली मिस इंटरप्रेटिंग इट. 5 ईयर इज नॉट द लिमिट. 5 ईयर इज बेसिकली द पीरियड ओवर विच यू हैव टू अमोर्टाइज. अब जैसे अकाउंट्स में अमोर्टाइज पढ़ते होंगे, वैसे इसमें आपको 5 ईयर तक अमोर्टाइज करना पड़ेगा. 5 ईयर तक डिडक्शन क्लेम कर सकते हो. डिवाइड बाई 5. आपको एक बार में सारा नहीं मिल जाएगा. Mr. A took a loan of 12 lakhs at 12% for construction of building on 1 April 19 and construction was completed on 31st March 20. Yes, प्रीको will be 0. करेक्ट है, क्योंकि इसमें कोई प्रीको नहीं होगा, क्योंकि आपने जिस दिन लोन लिया वो करेंट ईयर में ही है और कंप्लीट भी इसी साल कर लिया, तो देयर इज नो पॉइंट ऑफ प्रीको. करेक्ट, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट हर्ष, देयर विल बी नो प्रीको. there will be no pre-construction interest. अगर आपका date of loan is 1/4/19 and construction completed 31st March 20, there will be absolutely no pre-construction interest. So guys, similarly अपना self occupied में था, difference यही था, if you can see that यहाँ पे limit आ जाएगा, यहाँ पे amount का एक limit आ जाएगा. This is the only difference कि यहाँ पे amount का एक limit आ जाएगा. So टोटल लिमिट, टोटल करंट ईयर, इस केस में आप देख सकते हो टोटल करंट ईयर आप ये घर पे सॉल्व कर लिए होंगे. ये 1,80,000 है और ये 30 है, तो 2,10,000 इज द टोटल अमाउंट, बट यू विल बी गेटिंग ओनली 2 लाख का डिडक्शन, उससे ज्यादा डिडक्शन आपको नहीं मिलेगा. Other points which you have to remember in this is that this 2 lakh is basically for self-occupied for both current year and pre-construction, both inclusive. And second point you have to understand is that if you have paid interest on loan, then you are getting deduction. Your interest may also further levy interest by bank. If you are delay in paying interest, then you have to may pay more interest. So in that case, you have interest on unpaid interest. So whether interest on unpaid interest is allowed, the answer is no. Interest on unpaid interest is not at all allowed as deduction while you compute income from house property. Third point, काफी बार क्या होता है, there's a credit facility between the buyer and the seller. When the buyer enters into an agreement with the seller that he will pay you with deferred consideration, or he will pay some fixed amount in for different time limits, in different time he'll give you. So in that case, it will be deemed that the seller has obtained a loan. Okay, deemed to be that buyer has obtained the loan from the seller, and that interest accrued will be allowed as reduction under section 24B of the act. Anything, maybe मान लो buyer और seller के बीच में कोई deferred consideration है, and case में जो भी डिफरेंशियल अमाउंट वो इंटरेस्ट में दे रहा है बायर, उसके लिए वो क्या हो जाएगा, इंटरेस्ट मान लिया जाएगा. ठीक है, तो जरूरी नहीं कि लोन बोल के दे रहा है, बट इट इज डीम्ड टू बी अ लोन इफ इट इज फॉर अ deferred consideration. Then comes guys section 25. It's very simple. If a particular person is taking loan from outside India for a house property, in that case if TDS is not deducted, ठीक है, TDS क्या होता है कि any payment if I'm making that is an income for another person, so I have to deduct certain taxes on that particular income, and I have to pay to the government on the behalf of the person who's earning the income and the person to whom I am paying. So in that case, if I do not deduct TDS, government is saying that government is not going to allow me deduction for that interest. So if I have taken any house property loan uh, and I have to pay certain interest outside India, so I have to deduct TDS. That is tax at source. If I do not deduct TDS, I'm not be getting any deduction for that particular interest for the loan which I have taken from outside India. But if that particular non-resident has an agent in India who can pay tax on his behalf, then this provision will not be applicable, and then I'll be given full deduction from this provision for this provision. That will not be applicable basically. Next come guys composite rent, which is very simple and we see in daily to daily life. Sir, what is composite rent? Normally when we receive rent, it may be possible that we receive rent for various types of things, maybe for various assets, maybe for various services, maybe combination of assets and services, maybe for a combination of different kinds of assets. So there are various kinds of arrangements which can be taken into consideration, and this is known as composite rent. Okay, say for example, I have given you a building on rent, plus I'm also giving you lift service. I have also give you car parking service. I have also give you water maintenance service. I have also give you some other services which you are using it for the benefit of use, for the purpose of using of building. So sir, I'm charging you rent for the building, plus I'm also charging you some nominal maintenance charges. So the rent I'm also getting some maintenance charges. So how will that be taxable in my hands? It's very simple. Whatever sum which I'm taking as a sum from your property for the property rent, that will go in my HP, and the sum which I can give attribute for the services, that is the maintenance charges, which will go in my business income if I'm doing that is as a business activity, or other sources if that is not a business activity. Okay, next comes rent of building plus other assets. Say for example, I have given you a building. Along with that, I've given you motor car, furniture, various other assets I've given you. Okay, wooden table, furniture, chairs, office equipment, AC, many things I've given you. Now, there can be two things. Now, I am telling you that you take this building and you have an option that you can take other assets also. Okay, like letting out is separable. Okay, you can take furniture, you cannot take furniture, you can take just building, it's up to you. Like it's open for all. Okay, so in this case guys, it's very simple. If letting out is separable, so whatever part you are getting for rent from building, you will take it as rental income from house property, and whatever rent you are getting from other assets, either business income or other sources. But what if renting out is not separable? Like I'm not kept open for all. I'm saying if you are taking building, you're also taking AC, you're also taking other assets, you're also taking refrigerator, everything you're taking. So in this, letting is not is separable. In that case, the entire income will be taxable under business income, or if not business income, it will be taxable in other sources. I've given various examples for this. I think it is quite clear in this. Next comes recovery of unrealized rent. Now, if I talk about recovery of unrealized rent, like it's very simple. You have some rent which you are supposed to receive in previous years. आपने वो receive नहीं किया, but अब आपका now it's nothing but a recovery of bad debt. Okay, recovery of bad debt. So if you have recovered a bad debt, so obviously you have received something that will be taxable in the year of receipt. In the year in which you have received that particular bad debt, in the year in which you have recovered that, that will be taxable in that year itself. So if you are receiving in that particular year itself, so you just need to understand that it will be recovered in the year in which you have received. So what will be the taxability of that treatment? इसकी taxability क्या होगी? इसकी taxability होगी that bad debt will be, rent which you are, the unrealized rent will be taxable in the year of received, and it will be the taxable in the year of receipt, and a flat deduction of 30% will be given. Means there will be no other expenditure will be allowed against this particular recovery of unrealized rent. Everything which will be allowed will be taxable in the year of receipt. ये आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? तो जिस साल आप रिसीव कर रहे हो उसी साल आप टैक्स करोगे, उसके ऊपर आपको 30% डिडक्शन देना है, एंड इट इज नॉट अ मैटर ऑफ रिलेवेंट वेदर यू आर द एक्चुअल ओनर और नॉट. Maybe you have sold the building, you are not the still owner of that building, you're supposed to receive rent for the previous years, then also it will be taxable in your years, and taxable in your years, and years by years, and it will be a standard deduction of 30% will be given to you against that particular income. No deduction will be given to you other than this. Co-ownership comes section number 26, the second last section. Basically, co-ownership talks about simple hai, one property owned by two brothers. So how will you compute income? Sir, you compute income considering it is one property, one income, then you divide it into two brothers in their proportionate share. 2 लाख का अगर इनकम आया है तो आप 1-1 लाख दोनों में बांट दो, अगर दोनों का शेयर 1:1 है. The only thing which you need to understand in this is that, sir, what about self-occupied property, the limit of interest deduction? Now, in case of A or B who's owning a property self-occupied, in that case, if they have taken a joint loan, how will they get interest deduction? Will it be 2 lakhs for overall property, or will it be 2 lakhs each for A and B? Sir, in this case, the provision says the limit will be each for every person. Like 2 lakhs for Mr. A, 2 lakhs for Mr. B, because both are individual SSEs and both are taking individual taxable income. Accordingly, on one house property also, there might be case that two separate limits will be applicable for each co-owner, but there has to be each co-owner. Co-owner ke case mein you get two individual limits. Lastly, you get the concept of deemed ownership, that is section number 27. As I told you earlier, that section 27 is an exception to the fact that even when you are not the legal owner of the property, you will be deemed to be the owner of the property as per the 5 cases which have been enunciated in section 27. So you have to understand, it can come in MCQ part questions. Okay, now situation number 1 says, situation number 1 says that if I am transferring a house property to my spouse or my minor child, ध्यान से सुनिएगा, minor child बोला है, major नहीं बोला है. I am transferring my house property. It is somewhere related to clubbing of income, which I'll be teaching to you later. Transfer of house property to your minor child or your spouse. That's it. No parents, no brothers, no sisters. And that too without adequate consideration. Means if you are not charging anything, you're giving it for gift or charging very low, then this provision will be applicable. But if you are transferring the property to your wife because of some divorce or because of an agreement to live apart, or if you're transferring it to married minor daughter, I repeat, your daughter who is a married individual, in that case, this provision will not be applicable. ठीक है। सो इन दैट अगर आप प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर कर रहे हो अपने माइनर चाइल्ड को या फिर अपने स्पाउस को, सो दैट प्रॉपर्टी इज देयर प्रॉपर्टी, ओके फाइन. Income tax will not consider their property as their property. Income tax will say no, you have transferred that property to your spouse minor child with an objective to earn rental income. They will deem that whatever rental income they are earning, you are earning. So you will be the deemed owner, they will not be the owner. You will be the deemed owner, I'll be the deemed owner, and in my case it will be fully taxable. In my case it will be fully taxable. This is what about टॉक्स deemed ownership is. आपने प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर किया, इससे आपका इनकम भी ट्रांसफर हो गया, उसके हाथ में इनकम ट्रांसफर हो गया, उसके हाथ में इनकम ज्यादा टैक्स लगेगा, आपके हाथ में टैक्स लगेगा नहीं, आपने इनकम को ट्रांसफर कर दिया. ठीक है. इन दिस केस गवर्नमेंट होने नहीं देगा, गवर्नमेंट बोलेगा नहीं आप ही का डीम्ड ओनरशिप हम मानेंगे, यू आर डीम्ड टू बी द ओनर. लेकिन ये दो केस आपको ध्यान रखना है, डाइवोर्स एंड मैरिड माइनर डॉटर, इसके हाथ में इस केस में डीम्ड ओनरशिप प्रोविजंस विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल. तो जो उसको ट्रांसफर किया, चाहे वो मैरिड डॉटर हो चाहे वो स्पाउस हो, इन दैट केस उनको ही इनकम टैक्सेबल होगा. ठीक है. सो ये 3 केस उनके लिए, 4 आप प्लीज एक बार देख लेना. जैसे माइनर चिल्ड्रन इफ यू कैन सी अनमैरिड, इट इज फुल्ली डीम्ड ओनर एप्लीकेबल. मैरिड माइनर सन बोला है, डॉटर नहीं बोला, सन बोला है. तो मिस्टर ए इज डीम्ड ओनर ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी. पेरेंट्स, ब्रदर्स, सिस्टर्स जो भी है, इस provisions will not be applicable. Mr. A is not the deemed owner of the property. Okay. Then comes next, holder of impartable estate. Okay. A particular estate is there, उसका वो एक holder है, उसके mainly example ले लो. Mr. A having 4 sons, he transferred property pursuant to will. Okay, it cannot be partition. एक property को चारों बेटे को दे दिया, holder वही है, 4 बेटे को income मिल रहा है, ठीक है, but holder वही है. So holder के हाथ में ही इनकम टैक्सेबल होगा, बिकॉज इट कैनॉट बी पार्टीशन. मिस्टर ए हैज कंट्रोलिंग पावर, ऑल्दो इनकम इज गेट रिसीव्ड बाय देम, बट it will be taxable in the hands of the holder. Member of a cooperative society or a company or a AOP will also be deemed to be the owner of the property, because in this case a cooperative society creates a fund, member of every fund. एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको एक हाउसिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स का दिया था, हाउसिंग फ्लैट का दिया था, कि एवरी हाउसेस ऑफ every member has one house in that complex, and each is a cooperative society format. So every member is deemed to be the owner of that property, because ultimately the money invested is of the members, but the legal owner is cooperative society. So every rental income which is earned from letting out any of the properties of the cooperative society, that will be taxable in the hands of the member and not the cooperative society. So I hope आपको समझ में आ रहा है guys. I know I'm a bit fast, but this is the best way of studying tax, and this is the best way of knowing whether you know the topics nicely or not. Try to understand. Okay. Next, person allowed to take possession of the property as per section 53A or transfer of property act. Okay. Now in this case it's quite simple. मान लीजिए आपने किसी को पैसे नहीं दिए, कंसिडरेशन नहीं पे किया, बट यू आर रेडी टू पे द कंसिडरेशन एंड यू हैव टेकन द पोजेशन ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी. तो यहाँ बोलता है इफ यू हैव टेकन द पोजेशन ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी, दिस मींस दिस इज योर प्रॉपर्टी एंड यू आर द ओनर ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी. ऑल्दो you have not been registered as per the sale deed, but you have been transferred this property. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंटर हो चुका है, रजिस्टर्ड नहीं हुआ है, मतलब रजिस्ट्री नहीं हुआ है, पोजेशन आपको मिल चुका है, कंसिडरेशन या तो यू हैव पेड और यू आर रेडी टू पे द कंसिडरेशन. दिस आर द बेसिकली 3 conditions of section 53 of TOPA, which is Transfer of Property Act. If all the conditions are fulfilled, Mr. A is going to be the deemed owner. Mr. A कौन हो गए? जिसको पोजेशन जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में एंटर किया है, मतलब मिस्टर ए इज रिसीविंग द प्रॉपर्टी. ओके, सो मिस्टर ए विल बी डीम्ड टू बी द ओनर ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी. एंड लास्टली, person acquired right in a building under section 269 UAF of the act. So this is basically nothing guys but a tenancy right, a leasing right. In this case government is basically saying that if you are taken in a lease a property for more than 12 years or more at a straight away fixed originally, means if someone has given me a property for more than 12 years or more, I mean for 12 years or more, means I am going to be the deemed owner of that property. Okay. Or I might say that the lease is for 6 years, but this will be extended after every 2 years subject to a year which is more than 12 years. मतलब हर 2 साल में वो बढ़ेगा, उसका lease period बढ़ेगा, extension होगा. In this case also the overall period will exceed 12 years. So in that case also this will fall under this section 269 UF, and hence income will be taxable in the case of Mr. A, who is basically leasing, who is basically receiving the property. The next, it will not cover a case where the extension is every month or every year. Okay, मतलब agreed period है 2 months. Okay, but extension is after every month. मतलब जब basically बोला गया है कि extension should be more than a year. It should not be less than a year or by another year. It should be for more than a year. So if Mr. A is leasing a property to Mr. B, so Mr. B is the deemed owner of the property in all cases where the term of the lease is 12 years or more. If Mr. B leases out the property to Mrs. B, rental income is taxed in the hands of Mr. B under IHP as he is the deemed owner. उसके हाथ में क्या हो जाएगा? Deemed owner माना जाएगा. So guys, that's all about income from house property. ये सब चीज आप देख लेना कि कब other heads में जाता है. If I'm not the owner, if I am using it for the purpose of business, if I have leased out vacant land, or if it is letting out is inseparable. If letting out is inseparable, then definitely it will go in other heads. And these are some cases where income tax लगता ही नहीं है house property के case में. Agricultural income, say farm building, say if you are owning an agricultural land and you have a farmhouse, whatever farmhouse you're owning, and income you're earning from that farmhouse is exempt. Local authority का HP income is exempt. Any scientific research association का HP income is exempt. Educational institution HP income is exempt. Trade union HP income is exempt. Charitable trust के लिए HP income is exempt. Political party के लिए HP income is exempt. Used for own purpose profession के लिए political it is exempt. And two self-occupied properties of individual HUF it is also exempt. So guys, that's it from HP point of view. HP में और ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं. So basic मोटा मोटी sections जो आपको learn करने हैं वो 22, 24A, 24B, 25, 25A, 26 and 27. ये सारे sections आपको learn करने हैं in house property. Next important thing computation आता है. Basic computations you should know. कैसे ER, AR, GV सब कैसे निकालते हैं. लेट आउट पीरियड होता है, ओनरशिप पीरियड होता है, म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स डिडक्शन, ये सब आपको पता होना चाहिए. एनएवी होता है, स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन होता है, एवरीथिंग यू शुड नो. सो गाइस दिस इज ऑल अबाउट दिस. देन कम्स डीएलओ, डीम टू बी लेट आउट. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट है. सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. इंटरेस्ट ट्रीटमेंट यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड कि इंटरेस्ट कब कैलकुलेट करते हैं, कैसे माइनस करते हैं. ये सब बेसिक फंडामेंटल थिंग्स है विच जनरली कम्स इन द एग्जामिनेशंस. सो बाकी का जो पार्ट था, डीम्ड ओनरशिप है, कंपोजिट रेंट है, ये सब जो बाकी एडॉन्स है वो सब बेसिक कम आता है देखने को एग्जाम्स में, बट बाकी जो है वो फ्रीक्वेंटली एग्जाम्स में आता रहता है. नाउ आई एम टेकिंग Q&A. आशीष झा, मेरे को आपका सवाल आई एम नॉट अंडरस्टूड योर क्वेश्चन, सो आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिप्लाई दिस. हर्ष राज, आपका सवाल मैं देखता हूँ. मिस्टर एक्स अ रियल एस्टेट बिल्डर कंस्ट्रक्टेड बिल्डिंग. He sold 20 out of 25 flats. Expected rent each flat is 20,000 per month. क्या इसमें भी IHP लगेगा सर? See, as I told you, he's a real estate builder. He constructed building. He sold. Okay, he sold 20 out of 25 flats. उसने 20 फ्लैट बेच दिया, तो 20 फ्लैट में तो कैपिटल गेन्स लगने वाला है क्योंकि इसमें HP लगने वाला नहीं है. बट 5 फ्लैट्स अभी भी अनसोल्ड है. 5 फ्लैट्स अभी भी अनसोल्ड है. तो यू नीड टू चेक कि उसका कंस्ट्रक्शन कब कंप्लीट हुआ है. उसका कंस्ट्रक्शन कब कंप्लीट हुआ है. अप टू 2 years तक उसका एनुअल वैल्यू 0 होगा. अप टू 2 years तक उसका एनुअल वैल्यू 0 होगा. बट एक प्रॉपर्टी का एनुअल वैल्यू उसमें हम लोग डिस्कस किए थे. अगर आप मेरे नोट्स को क्लियरली देखेंगे, अगर आप क्लियरली देखेंगे, प्लीज एक बार सेक्शन 23(5) में आना. इट्स अ गुड क्वेश्चन. प्लीज वंस कम टू सेक्शन 23 सबसेक्शन 5. वहां मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ एक बार. The annual value of house property will be charged under this where it is held by stock in trade. How the annual value of property being held in stock would be treated as nil for a period of 2 years from the end of the financial in which the certificate of completion is obtained from this legal authority is obtained if such property is not let out for such period. Meaning thereby कि आपका जो एनुअल वैल्यू होगा प्रॉपर्टी का वो अप टू 2 years क्या होगा, उसका एनुअल वैल्यू 0 होगा. मतलब 20 फ्लैट का तो आपको कुछ करना नहीं है, बाकी का आपको देखना पड़ेगा, लेकिन उसमें भी आपको अप टू 2 years का ही मिलेगा. उसके बाद जो होगा दैट विल बी फुल्ली टैक्सेबल अंडर HP. यस, ये आपका HP में टैक्सेबल हो जाएगा. 9 months हो तो एरिया वाइज में. आशीष झा, इट इज नॉट क्लियर. आप प्लीज पूरा क्वेश्चन टाइप किया करिए. whenever you want to listen to my answer, please write full questions. हाउ राहुल सिंह, बट सर आई एम ओन्ड करेंगे तो ही लेट आउट करेंगे ना सर. देखिए, ओनरशिप पीरियड और लेट आउट पीरियड के बीच में बहुत सिंपल डिफरेंस है. ओनरशिप पीरियड इज बेसिकली यू ओन द प्रॉपर्टी एंड लेट आउट पीरियड इज यू स्टार्ट लेटिंग आउट द प्रॉपर्टी. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, या डेफिनेटली आप ओनरशिप है तो ही तो आप लेट आउट करेंगे, बट जरूरी नहीं है कि जितना महीना यू हैव ओन द प्रॉपर्टी यू लेट आउट द प्रॉपर्टी. यू मे ओन फॉर 12 months बट यू मे लेट आउट ओनली फॉर 6 months. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा ना कि यू विल own for 6 months but you will let out for 12 months. ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता. So yeah, you are correct. How can I let a property before owning? You cannot let out. When did I say that you can let out a property before owning it? But the thing is, 1st July को अगर आप own करते हो, तो it may not be possible. It is not possible कि आप 1st July से वो करोगे. I mean 1st April से आप let out करोगे. Maybe that this दिन you are purchasing, the day you are also, I mean the day you are purchasing, the day you are also let out the property. In that case, it will be the same. Okay. So period of ownership and period of rent is actual rent is very simple. Actual let out period and ownership period. That's all you have to answer. ठीक है ना? Next. So once can you once again make me understand the F point page number 142 श्रेयाशी. 142 का जो F page था वो basically यही बोलता था कि just let me को वहाँ जाने दीजिए, वो कौन सा point था. Property let out for the purpose of business carried on by the tenant is taxable under IHP. देखिए, the point is, if you know, the third condition in HP was that the property used for your purpose of business cannot be taxable under HP. ठीक है? Your purpose मतलब SSE's purpose. Now, if my tenant is doing the business, why will I care about? I have let out my property to a tenant, not that tenant is doing his business in that property. So fine, उसका business हो रहा है, मेरा business तो नहीं हो ना श्रेयाशी. So my business, since my business is not there, his business like, तो it is fully taxable under HP. तो यही बोला गया कि tenant अगर carry on कर रहा है तो मेरे को उससे परवाह नहीं है, मेरे को खाली कब देखना है if I am carrying on the business. It is not used for my business. I hope it is clear. श्रेयाशी, आपका और एक सवाल था. I have one question in this illustration 2. Is that unrealized rent 2 months, but we have calculated 12 minus 2, but in the illustration 3, somewhere the unrealized rent was 3 months. Then why didn't we do 12 minus 3? Let me check illustration 2 and 3. राहुल सिंह सर, हर्ष के क्वेश्चन प्रॉपर्टी सोल्ड हुआ वो आईएचपी में नहीं आएगा ना सर? नहीं सर, वो हाउस प्रॉपर्टी सोल्ड पे एचपी में नहीं आता है. दैट इज अंडर कैपिटल गेन्स. श्रेयाशी कबीराज, unrealized rent, आपका क्वेश्चन है in this unrealized rent is that unrealized rent 2 months we have calculated 12 minus 2. Okay, but in illustration 3 we have unrealized was 3 months, and why didn't we do 12 minus 3? Illustration 3 में the property was let out for a rent of 11,000 per month throughout the year. Unrealized rent was 11,000 and all conditions were this. Shashi, I didn't understand. आप इसमें 3 महीना क्यों करोगे? Shashi, I didn't understand. Okay, illustration 4. Actual in 12 months, unrealized rent. तो यहाँ पे तो हम लोग ने अमाउंट माइनस किया है, यहाँ पे भी अपने 32,000 अमाउंट माइनस किया है, यहाँ पे भी हम लोग 3 months माइनस किए होंगे और यहाँ पे भी हम लोग 2 months माइनस किए होंगे. डी पार्ट. सो आई टेल यू, नेट एक्चुअल रेंट हम लोग क्या किए होंगे? एक्चुअल रेंट इज 6 lakhs minus unrealized rent 3 lakhs, sorry 3 months. So if 6 lakhs divided by 12, that is 50,000 into 3. So unrealized rent आपको माइनस करना पड़ेगा इसमें. अनरियलाइज रेंट आपको इसमें माइनस करना पड़ेगा. In this case, you have to reduce unrealized rent. In this case, you have to reduce unrealized rent. Okay. आप unrealized rent इसमें माइनस करोगे. आपको 6 lakhs माइनस 6 lakhs by 12, 50,000 into 3, 1,50,000 माइनस करोगे. फिर वेकेंसी भी आपको माइनस करना पड़ेगा for 2 months. So here we have reduced 3 months unrealized rent and reduced 2 months vacancy to compute net actual rent. Okay. So guys, any other questions if you have? Any other questions if you have? If you don't have any questions, please give your esteemed valuable feedback in the chat box. How did you like the session? How did you like the session? Please अपना valuable feedback दीजिए. Session कैसा लगा आपको? Rate out of 10, where 10 is very high, 10 is very good and 1 is okay. I mean 1 is poor. मुझे rating बताइए. Where 10 is very good and 1 is poor and 5 is average. मतलब 1 to 10 के टेंडेंसी में बताइए. मुझे खुश करने के लिए 10 में 10 मत देना. गिव योर वैल्यूएबल फीडबैक. हाउ वाज द सेशन? डिड इट बेनिफिट यू? क्या आपका सारा कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हुआ, रिवाइज हुआ? जो कंफ्यूजन्स था वो गया? आई वांट डिटेल्ड. खाली मार्क्स मत बताइए, मुझे बताइए एग्जैक्टली हाउ डिड यू बेनिफिट and give some suggestions if you want to give so that I can incorporate that in the next lecture. हर्ष, आपका एक सवाल है. मिस्टर बी हैज बिल्डिंग इन विच वन हाफ he carries out business and other half is let out for 12,000 per month. Second half will be taxable only. Harsh, आप taxable जब बोल रहे हो, so you have to be very you have to widen your scope. Second half में जब मैं आप बोल रहे हो taxable है, तो that is taxable in HP only. ये बिजनेस वाला पार्ट पीजीबीपी में जाएगा. इन केस मान लो अगर उसका हाफ पार्ट वाला जो बिजनेस पर्पस के लिए यूज हो रहा है, ही इज अर्निंग एनी इनकम और इंक्रिंग एनी एक्सपेंडिचर, दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड सेपरेटली इन पीजीबीपी. दैट विल नॉट बी आउटसाइड द एम्बिट ऑफ इनकम टैक्स. वो पीजीबीपी में जाएगा. व्हाई एम आई नॉट इंक्लूडिंग the third condition wala case when the building is used for the purpose of business, because that case is a perfect example of PGBP. So if that is taxable under PGBP, it cannot be taxable under HP. So HP में वो taxable होगा second half. First half will be taxable under PGBP. Okay. So thank you guys so much for your valuable feedback, and I look forward to see you for the next session. Sir, half classes of house property left, and sir, do we have to income tax from app only? देखिए अभी तक तो आपको ऐप में ही करना पड़ेगा जब तक लॉकडाउन नहीं खत्म हो जाता, क्योंकि अभी लाइव क्लासेस नहीं हो पाएगा. जैसे लाइव क्लासेस रिज्यूम होगा, वी विल सी यू लाइव, and that is why I am coming in and doing live interaction with you people all, ताकि आपको वैसा फीलिंग नहीं आए. all your queries should get solved. you are preparing from home, घर से पढ़ रहे हैं, बट फिर भी आपका क्वेरी सारा सॉल्व होना चाहिए. मेरी पर्पस यही है. मॉक टेस्ट का टेंशन मत लीजिए, वो जैसे जैसे होगा आपको करा दिया जाएगा. योर पर्पस इज जस्ट you should prepare very nicely, guys. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. For the students who are seeing me in recording, thank you so much, and आई होप ये वीडियो आपको अच्छा लगा होगा. अगर ये वीडियो अच्छा लगा तो प्लीज डू शेयर एंड विथ योर फ्रेंड्स, तो उनका भी हाउस प्रॉपर्टी वाला पार्ट क्लियर होगा. ठीक है, थैंक यू.